So, hi again, guys. Thank you so much for logging in. I'm really overwhelmed to start this webinar. I hope you guys have something to take from this by the end of it. So, my name is Ajay. I'm the founder of Novan Studio. We've been in this field of manufacturing products in this new age concrete from about 7 years to date. We have supplied products to thousands of projects across the country. Most of them have been well-known corporates like Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Boeing, and many, many more such names. As well as we have also been a part of many celebrity homes and HNI homes as well. So this is how our journey started. We've also been featured in multiple magazines in the past. So today I'm excited to share what we've really done, and I'm excited to share my view of what this concrete really does. So today I'll be speaking to you about the new age concrete, which is not a construction grade concrete, but it's more of a product based concrete. These concretes are predominantly used to manufacture products and not really for construction as such. I would like to start this webinar with a bit of history. I wouldn't bore you guys too much, but yeah. So basically, the use of concrete and the exposed concrete and such kind of designs started in this brutalist architecture era, which is around 1950s. This is where they loved the rawness and the to expose the actual material. It's not just concrete, but even brick or wood also was liked when it is left raw. So this is how they were, when in the brutalist architecture period. And this is a very similar building in India that was designed by the greatest Le Corbusier, who sweat by concrete. And as and how time passed by, obviously the the methodology of casting and the kind of finish that you get certainly started, being better. So you can see the kind of finish that you're able to get here. So these are some famous projects of Tadao Ando. The bottom left and the right side is the Church of Light in Japan. So as and how you move forward, the concrete certainly developed. So this is the new age concrete I'm talking to you about. So here, the concrete is not only used for, it's not used really for your structural purpose, but it's really used for its aesthetic quality, its moldability, the way you can really use it, the way you can really make products out of it, and the way it is durable. Such kind of concretes are really durable in outdoor spaces as well, and even in extreme temperatures. So here what you see, this is a project in Azerbaijan, designed by Zaha Hadid. All of these are concrete panels which are casted, each piece separate. They're all fiber reinforced, and you can see the kind of output what you really get. So again, this is a recent project in France. It is a bus station. Over here again, it is not a concrete that has been poured on site, but these are panels which are installed on a framework. You can see the kind of detailing that it really has. So these concretes, again, they are very, very strong, and the expectation of these kind of concretes are very different from your construction grade concrete. They give you better finish, they give you better shapes, lesser weight because of the kind of thickness. These are very, very slim compared to your construction grade concrete. So this is a fire station in Canada. The image on top is a fire station in Canada. Again, you can see how concrete panels have been cladded to the facade. These are not really casted on site, but they're all panels which are manufactured in the factory and then installed. So I'm trying to give you an idea as to how designers are really using this across the world. I think Nishant has a question. It's reinforced plastic. Well, it is actually, it's called ultra high performance concrete panels. which are manufactured by Ductile. It's not plastic, it is concrete. I have the link in the end of the webinar, so I'll be happy to share this with you, Nishant. So moving forward, the bottom left, what you see is a daycare in France, which again, all these are panels manufactured in concrete, and you can see the kind of output what you really get. So this is something what I took, when I went to Dubai. It's the top left is a city walk. These are three-dimensional panels which are manufactured in concrete and installed. And on the right, what you see is a concrete panel, but with a lot of sculptural value. So you could just see, you can also see that it's just not a facade or just a flat panel, but you could even make a lot of art out of it. The bottom right images that you see, the Louvre Museum in Abu Dhabi. Now these are screens, again manufactured in the new age concrete. They're very, very strong. So that is the reason they're very thin and they look beautiful. A few more examples of this sort. This is a building in Morocco. You can see the screens. This is a Nike store in USA. You can see how beautifully these are designed. In such instances, the concrete has the ability to really kind of take any shape. So the limitation is only by your imagination. You actually, if you're able to visualize something very unique, mostly it is possible to be manufactured with this kind of concrete. Not only is screens, Aisha, I would suggest you to refresh the screen. Gautam, can you please help Aisha, please? So not only is it used for your screens and facades, but even in your indoor spaces. If you want to achieve a good surface finish, am I able to connect here then? Please press it. Okay. Gautam, Aisha is not able to hear. Can you please help her out? Great. Sorry for the trouble. Yeah. So this is even if you have your internal walls where you actually want to achieve very good concrete finish, you don't really need to cast concrete on site today. All these are panels which can be installed. Even over here, what you see is you have very, very good surface finish of the panels. So these kind of panels is very difficult to be achieved when you actually have to cast the concrete on site. I will be getting into more details about wall panels in just a bit. These are a few of our projects, what we've done in India. So not only interior designers and architects are using this kind of technology world over, but a lot of even product designers are actually using these technologies to create some very beautiful products. So here what you see, the concrete is just about, I would say around 12 mm in the tip, and maybe about around 15 mm in the middle. And because of the kind of strength it really has, this is the kind of beautiful products that you can make. So all of these are international designers who have made some very amazing products using concrete. So this, on the right side, what you really see is a lamp that is designed by Le Corbusier for one of his projects. In 2016, a Belgian architect designed a very similar product inspired by this lamp for an Italian lighting company called Floss. So this way, there are a lot of product designers who are using this technology to create some very beautiful products. So in the end of the webinar, I will also be talking to you about design collaboration. We actually collaborate with a lot of designers who want to design products, and then we would actually be able to manufacture them and put them in our catalog. We have many such collaborations. I will talk to you more about this by the end of the webinar. So these are a few accessories that have been designed by us, manufactured by us, designed by SFDW. He's a product designer, and we collaborate with designers this way. So all of this, what I showed you, is manufactured predominantly using a technology called ultra high performance concrete, and our technology is called as Lithios. It's also an ultra high performance concrete. Well, there are a lot of other technologies in concrete as well, like GRC and high performance concrete and many more such technologies. But ultra high performance concrete has been one of the best suited technology to manufacture such kind of products. Yeah. So this is our technology called Lithios. Yes, Abhishek, we will be uploading the webinar after it has been hosted. I'm really sorry to hear that you guys are having some trouble connecting. We will certainly be able to upload the webinar. So a little bit about the insights about our technology and what is the difference. So the attributes are, it's a very high dense material. If you look at the microscopic image of the UHPC, this has been zoomed to about 300 mu meter, which is very microscopic, and you can see how dense the material is even at that kind of a zoom. On the other side, for a comparison, GRC, when it has been actually zoomed to about even 100 mu microns is what you call it, you can see the kind of gaps and cracks that the material has. So this is one of the reasons that the UHPC has more strength and the absorption is much lesser. It is also resistant to cracks. The rod-like substances that you're seeing in the image are actually small microfibers, glass fibers. So these are not really rods or rebars. They're not steel, but these are all very small fibers. These fibers, each strand is smaller than a hair strand, thinner than a hair strand. So I would not get into too much of technicalities over here, but this is just to give you a example of what this ultra high performance can do. It's the compressive strength, which predominantly is what talks about the strength of the concrete. The houses are built with about M20, M25 grade of concrete, which is about 20 to 25 MPa. Whereas the compressive strength of the UHPC, if I can call it so, is about 100 to 120 MPa. So it's about 5 to 6 times stronger there. The flexural strength also is very high because of the fibers. The flexing capacity really increases drastically in this kind of a concrete. So Surabhi, GRC means glass reinforced concrete, or you can also call it as glass fiber reinforced concrete. In this kind of technology, we don't use steel rebars. I will talk to you a bit more about this in the next slide. Again, a very quick indication of the difference between a precast concrete and a ultra high performance concrete. It basically wins with a large margin over your regular technology of concrete. We have used a sponge bob over here because basically concrete has a lot of pores, and the ultra high performance concrete is like concrete with Red Bull. It has superpowers. The porosity is very less and it's super strong. So Surabhi, GRC and UHPC are good, yes, of course. Both of them have their own advantages. UHPC being a lot more stronger, but it's not that GRC cannot be used for products. I will also show you the differences in just a bit. So what is UHPC really made out of? So cement, sand, a lot of pozzolans, fibers, and sand powder. All of these are more like your common ingredients that are generally used to make a UHPC. Now, apart from this, we also have a few secret ingredients, which is what is used to boost the strength and performance of our kind of UHPC called Lithios. But this is predominantly the kind of ingredients that are generally used. Now, they're also fiber reinforced, as what I told you. These are the kind of fibers that they're used to actually reinforce in the concrete. We don't use any kind of steel rebars, but these fibers are mixed with concrete when they are still liquid, and then they're casted. So what happens is these fibers are completely in the matrix of the concrete, and so every square inch, if you look at it, is also reinforced by itself. It's not really just the metal rods or whatever, the way you actually have to bend them and kind of keep them in the mold and cast. So that really doesn't happen. So this allows us to actually cast products in whatever kind of shapes and forms that we would really look at. So GRC basically is also glass reinforced concrete, where such kind of fibers are actually used in GRC. But GRC is predominantly more of sand, cement, sometimes a polymer, and glass fibers. But over here, we use similar kind of fibers, but the whole concrete technology is very, very different. As what you saw, the compactness and the kind of strength that the concrete has is very, very different. Maitri, we generally use glass fibers because that is the best that really goes with concrete. We also use metal fibers when the kind of strength that is required is very, very high, and where you need big cantilevers and things like that in our products, or when there's a lot of stress. We don't use natural fibers because they're not really strong. So moving forward, the base of our concrete mix is white predominantly, and we mix pigments in them homogeneously to color them and have different colors. So I would like to tell you one thing about the pigments that we generally use. All these pigments are again imported from a very reputed company from Germany, where they've been a part of iconic projects across the globe. So the advantage of these pigments, these are all of course oxide pigments, but more processed. They are UV resistant to the highest grade. UV resistance is generally measured by color fastness. The highest color fastness is 8, and all of these pigments belong to the 7 and 8 category. If I have to give you an example of color fastness, let us say you have your clothes which tend to fade over a period of time, because the color fastness of these clothes would be, I don't know, maybe around 1, 2, or maximum 3. So that is the reason you actually see fading. But so these products with the homogeneously mixed colors, they would be able to you would be able to use them in indoor and outdoor situations absolutely without any problem, even in erratic climatic conditions. A bit about the moldability of UHPC. As what I told you, we really don't use metal rods and things like that. Fibers are actually blended into the concrete. This kind of UHPC is generally poured into an open mold. It's like a self-compacting concrete. Or the other thing is that you could also spray them. You would be able to spray this just like the way you're seeing directly in a mold. We have a special machinery, and you'd be able to spray them. So can you pigment the premix with any stain available locally? Well, Shekhar, you would certainly be able to mix other pigments available locally. I'm not saying no, but it's just that I said we use this quality pigment to make sure that we have the best of the best quality. The pigments certainly alter the strength. In fact, the pigments increase the strength of concrete if it is used in the right manner, because they actually fill in the pores in the matrix. If you use excess pigment, it will also reduce the strength. But if you use them in the right manner, they wouldn't really lose strength, but it will actually add to strength. What is the difference in the end result between powdered pigment and liquid pigment? Well, there's not much of a difference actually, because liquid pigments also have powdered pigments suspended in a liquid. I think it predominantly has powdered pigments and a super plasticizer mixed with it. So as such, I think dosing of liquid pigments are much easier than powdered pigments, but we prefer powdered pigments for a few reasons. So I actually forgot to ask you guys. There is a poll that is out. I would like to know if you guys prefer concrete in just shades of gray, or do you guys also prefer concrete in different colors as what I actually showed you. I would appreciate if you guys would be able to take that poll, which is active at the moment. So back to moldability. So basically, the molding process is decided by the type of product, the design, the size, and how it can really be casted. So with the kind of strength we have, with the kind of coloring possibilities we have, with the kind of high density that we have, let us look at the possibilities with this concrete. Till now, it's only been technical. Now, let us look at the fun part. What are the possibilities with UHPC? Hiren asks, what is the minimum thickness UHPC can be casted in? Well, I mean, we have wall panels which are actually casted in just 8 mm thick. The wall panels what we have are 6 feet by 3 feet, which is the largest size what we have right now, and they are just casted in 8 mm thickness. How long does UHPC take to set compared to conventional concrete? We generally demold this concrete products what we've casted in 24 hours, and in about 1 or 2 days, it actually gets about 30 to 40% of the strength, or maybe even up to 50% of the strength, and then eventually it catches up on strength. So the products what we cast are generally handleable after 24 hours. Thank you, Bindu. Thank you for your comment. So, in terms of possibilities, we have different textures possible. These are our standard textures, not limited to these. You can make a lot many, but I would also show you that after this slide. Natural texture is something which is completely smooth and very crisp and clean. Travertine texture is something which is which has bug holes and pinholes, which are intentionally created on the surface. Distressed is more very rustic, and porous also has pinholes, but it's very different from your travertine texture. Anubhav, you're asking me about the durability of the products. Well, your regular concrete itself stays for a few, hundreds of years, I must say. These are a lot more durable to your weather conditions and freeze and thaw resistance. So honestly, durability really doesn't, this kind of a technology has been out for more than around 20-25 years, and it's doing fantastic. And we've had an experience of 7 years by in manufacturing these kind of products, and we have never had any kind of problem. Well, I personally think these would outlast a human life, to be honest. So back to the surface textures, I would like to have another poll, to understand what kind of an appearance of concrete would you really prefer. Do you like it completely smooth and clean, or do you actually like it a little raw with the pinholes and bug holes and things like that? I would appreciate if you guys can take the poll. So other surface textures possible. So if you look at the bottom left image, it's a floral texture that we have been able to achieve because we have casted the concrete on a artificial leather, or leatherite is what you really call it. So because of the kind of density that the concrete has, it captures the mold details phenomenally. The bottom right, the ultrafine texture that you see, each line is maybe 2 or 3 times thicker than a human hair, but you can really see how well the concrete is actually copied the texture. That's the advantage of this kind of a material. Shweta, the weight of UHPC is, I think, it comes to about 2,300, 2,250 to 2,300 kgs per meter cube, and regular conventional concrete would be about 2,100 to 2,150 kgs per meter cube. But over here, the advantage is that once you manufacture a product, since the kind of thickness what you would have is only fractional of your conventional concrete, eventually the product weight is going to be reduced drastically. I will show you a few examples down the presentation. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not able to answer all your questions. I'm trying to accommodate as much as possible. In the Q&A session, I will still try to answer more of your questions. So more surface possibilities, gold gilding. This is one of my favorite. The rawness, the rustic nature of concrete with a touch of bling makes it look fantastic. So gold gilding is possible. Of course, wooden texture when you cast on wood is possible. Stencils is something where we actually, we can make a stencil of whatever kind of pattern that you really have. Not just floral, but it can be abstract or logo or wordings or whatever. And you can actually treat the concrete again with another color. So that's the way a kind of pattern that you get. Right side bottom is the glow in the dark. It's a very fun thing that we did initially when we started trying to do some trials with concrete. We use a fluorescent pigment to be mixed in concrete and cast our products. So that's the night view of the products. Metal insertion is again a very interesting option. The top left image that you see is brass laser cut and infused into concrete. The brass is laser cut and kept in the mold, and concrete is casted. Because concrete is liquid turning into rock solid, it gives you a very, very good inlay option when you want to inlay metal or wood or pebbles and stones and things like that. Bottom right, what you see is the acrylic laser cut and infused into concrete, and it has been backlit. So again, over here, it can be wordings, or you can also have some kind of patterns which you can laser cut and infuse them into concrete and make panels out of it. Onto the right is emboss and deboss, where you could either emboss your design or even deboss your design in your panels. More like creating self textures in concrete. Again, you can actually make abstract patterns, floral patterns, many such things. Sameer, the glow material certainly loses its strength over time. So initially, the glow actually, the company told us that the glow would be for about 10 hours, and then it reduces to about, say, eventually in a few years it'll reduce to about, say, 5-6 hours. It'll never fade down and dull down completely, but it'll stay around 5 to 6 hours after a period of time. Shweta, so basically this the deboss and emboss, what we really do is we laser cut a plastic sheet, and we place it in the mold, and then we cast concrete over it. And then when we remove the plastic sheet, this is the kind of detail that you get. So over here, we have done some kind of floral patterns. We have done wordings, logos, and even abstract patterns for that matter. So all of these can be actually casted. So the way let us say if you try to machine it or route it, you get a very different kind of effect. But if you actually cast it the way it is, the kind of effect that you get is fantastic. So with the kind of strength, with the kind of coloring, with the kind of possibilities, what are the applications that is really possible in UHPC? We have actually, made products for different applications. Sometimes designers come to us and say, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" It's very exciting for that matter. We didn't even think about actually doing some unique products, even like doors for that matter. We have done doors in concrete and even gates in concrete. So to begin with, one of the applications which we predominantly do very largely is the wall panels. As I told you previously, if you don't want to use concrete for its structural ability, but if you want to really use it for your aesthetics predominantly, you really don't need to cast concrete like the way it used to be done in the conventional manner. These are real concrete panels. These age beautifully like your construction grade concrete and your regular concrete, because these are real concrete. And you can actually just install these panels on, let us say, a plastered wall or on a plywood or bison board or even Shera board for that matter. These are just about 8 mm thick or 12 mm thick. These are a few options. So the right side one, what you see is one of our standard product. This is actually a deboss. right? So you can actually create some very interesting designs this way. So I would like to compare, today, if you really want, concrete is a very trending material all across the globe. I would like to compare, a few options that are available, for getting a concrete finish for aesthetic purpose, versus, what a wall panel can really do. If you see over here, the concrete wall panels, what, are manufactured in UHPC are generally 8 mm thick, or, a little more than 8 mm thick is more than enough. And these are real concrete. They're not like paint or a putty. They don't fade whatsoever. So on the right side, what you see is actually a paint done on a primer, maybe on a, a board, or maybe on a wall. So if you see, the concrete paint, certainly looks beautiful on day one. It looks concrete-ish, yes, of course. Nothing to doubt over there. But it's not real concrete. It doesn't age like your real concrete. And over a period of time, when there is some kind of a movement, you can see that, the once the paint is off, you can actually see the primer behind. That will never happen in the kind of concrete if you actually use panels in your designs. The number two is basically what you see are, two boards which have come together, and then after a while, when there's movement, you can actually see the kind of crack that it has formed. This is more like, painting your plywood, and when you paint your plywood, and after a while, you certainly have cracks that are really seen between them. And number three shows the kind of flaking that will generally happen with the paint, so to say. The other comparison is with exposed concrete walls by itself. So of course, the whole trend started with, the conventional method of actually casting the concrete, and having the exposed concrete. But now with the advancement in technology, you could actually, as I told you, make panels and you can install them. So the advantage is, like if you see number one, basically it's a crack that is formed in a very large wall, and you would not be able to really do anything out of that. With this kind of concrete panels, those kind of cracks never appear. Well, it could have a few hairline cracks over a period of years, which might not even be visible to your naked eye. That's an advantage. Number two, showcases if you have any kind of a problem, some kind of chipping or something of that sort that happens when you're demolding, the exposed concrete wall or something. Then you would not be able to repair that. Well, of course, today, there are, ways of rendering, basically these exposed kind of concrete walls. Rendering is nothing again, but, having another layer of plaster, so to say, to actually kind of, put up to kind of cover the mistakes. But with the panels, you have better, a better way to control the output. You can be rest assured of the output, what you would have when aesthetics really matter. Another example, so when you again, have the RCC casted, again, I'm talking about only aesthetic concrete out here. The kind of edges cannot be assured when you actually cast it on site. But when you have the panels, you can see the comparison on the left of the UHPC wall panels, how well it can be neatly detailed, and how neat it looks. Could you please explain the joinery details of these panels? Well, Sashi, basically these are installed just like your veneers. It's called a bird beak joint. So that's how they're installed. 45 degrees is something which we don't suggest, because the material becomes very weak in the edge. So these kind of joineries are very, very safe and long lasting. So I would again have a poll published for you guys. I would appreciate if you guys can please take the poll. So when you're talking about aesthetic concrete walls, would you like to adapt this kind of a solution using real concrete wall panels instead of cast in situ, where you would have such kind of problems which could occur? Well, I'm not saying every RCC wall looks this way, but it really depends on the skill of a person who is casting. Would that really is that a chance that you want to take, or are you agreeable to actually adapt a new technology of such wall panels being installed when it comes to aesthetics. Moving forward, these are 3D wall panels. So again, because of the moldability, you could create whatever kind of shapes and sizes and forms that you would really want, um, and you can have some very interesting surfaces designed. Another amazing possibility is wash basins. So this image that you see was casted in one piece. So a mold is made in this size and form, and concrete is casted into this. Again, this is not solid. This is like it looks like it is 4 inches, so it's not 4 inches, but it's just a shell. The material thickness over here is just 15 mm, and they're not very heavy, and these can be installed on brackets. So generally, these kind of products were tried to be manufactured in acrylic hard surface, right? So what used to happen is you used to have a wooden carcass, and then you used to clad your Korean and acrylic hard surfaces on it. When the wood moves, you would be able to see a crack or a joinery in the acrylic hard surface. That doesn't happen here. You'll never have any kind of leakages or any kind of cracks that are seen, because this is actually casted in one piece. More wash basins. So here is another other example of wash basins in UHPC and regular concrete. So as I told you, the kind of density what you really have in the UHPC is far more superior than your regular concrete. So what happens is the durability also matters a lot. So when you cast it in your regular concrete, what happens is that your it is more porous, and when it's more porous, because of the moisture and repeated use, it would be it would get some stains, and it would also kind of have cracks that would appear. So Ian says in UK we have been using high performance GRC permanent formworks. We cast the concrete against high performance GRC. We think it's a great way to guarantee the surface finish. Yes, Ian, as I told you in the starting, well, it's UHPC is not the only solution. There are a lot of other technologies, and GRC is no less. So UHPC has its own advantage, and GRC also has its own advantage. We use UHPC for the advantages that we would require for our products. Moving forward, furniture. So here, the furniture that you see are again not solid. They're just 15 mm in terms of material thickness. They don't have any kind of a supporting shell or a framework inside. They're just a hollow shell. So what the advantage is that these can be moved from place to place, and it's not too much of a dead weight, which you would be able to kind of move them around. So the Y-shaped seater that you see is a seater that is placed in a mall in multiple levels. So so that really tells you that it really doesn't have too much of a dead weight. And these furnitures, they don't have any kind of maintenance in them. You install it once. If it is indoor or outdoor, it really doesn't matter. More furniture. So I would like to explain a very exciting work what we have done. The bottom left table that you see is a 4-seater workstation. The thickness is only 25 mm. It's got a 2 feet cantilever and 8 feet in terms of length, and it has no supports in between. So this is a 4-seater workstation. We understand that there will be monitors on it, people trying to rest on it, heavy files, and this is about a 5-year-old project, and it still stays as what it is, and that's the kind of strength that we're talking about. So the rectangular long bench is I think about 5 feet. So coming to the expectations, of concrete. So what, since concrete is really a new material in the market, not very old, we keep getting a lot of questions from designers and clients what we meet, as to what is the expectation, should it how should it behave, and how does it really look at the end of the whole thing. So I would like to talk to you about the expectations. What can be expected in UHPC? So one is the mottling tones and shade variation. So the mottling tones and shade variations are a part of concrete. It's an inherent property of concrete. Without these mottling tones and shade variations, it would look very synthetic and it would look very dead. So when you make, let us say, I would like to give you an example. If you have one mold and if you have a batch of raw materials, and if you actually use the same batch of raw materials to cast different panels in the same mold, you can be rest assured that every single panel will have its own mottling tones and shade variations. Now, that is the beauty of this concrete. Now, this is there in your exposed concrete, and the same is, very much alive in this technology of concrete as well. So that is what tells you it is real concrete. As an example, we have also put an image of a ceramic concrete tile on the top left. So even when the tile companies actually manufacture, they actually make sure that there are shade variations just to make sure that it looks more realistic. So this is exactly what you can expect out of concrete, and you will not have repetitions like when you have a printed ceramic tile which looks like concrete. It'll have repetitions of the pattern and the thing, because it's a print. But in this kind of concrete wall panel, if you have 100 tiles, 100 panels are unique. There are no two panels which actually resemble the other. That's the advantage. So I would have another poll for you guys. Would you really appreciate the shade variation that the concrete has and the mottling tones that the concrete has, or would you really want something which is plain and more synthetic, or would you really prefer a material which has these kind of natural inherent characters? Moving forward, the concrete always has these kind of pinholes and bug holes. Well, of course, we could create the products with very, very less pinholes and bug holes, which is called as natural, texture in our, standard products. But it is always more appreciated when you actually have these kind of bug holes and pinholes created in concrete. It looks more aesthetic. So this is another expectation what I would like to share. In the 7 years of our production, I would tell you that the highest texture that has actually been sold or manufactured is the products which actually has these natural and inherent pinholes in them. The edge detail, the top left image that you see, again, the edge detail is what I would want you guys to look at. And the edge detail of the counter, what you see, is also something what I would want you to look at. So we could have very crisp and clean edge detail like the counter details as well. But generally in wall panels, we prefer to have them a little rustic, wherein it doesn't really take out the naturality of the material, and it still looks natural and not like a ceramic or a vitrified tile. So I think somebody was asking us about the sealers and things like that. So I would like to cover that topic over here. So again, since it is a new product, there are some do's and don'ts to actually manufacture products made in concrete, not just ultra high performance concrete, but products made in concrete generally. So these are a few facts which I would like to talk about. Choosing the right sealer for the right application is very important. So there are multiple types of sealers available in the market, and the expectation of each sealer is very different. Now we actually have a basic surface treatment that is applied onto a wall panel. So this kind of a surface treatment is not filming. It doesn't form a film on top, and there are only water and dust repellent. This is more than enough for a regular wall panel, which is used either in the indoor or outdoor spaces, where it's resistant to very basic stains and resistant to water, water really. Whereas the advanced surface treatment, which is used for wash basins and furniture, where stain resistance is of the utmost subject, it's a film forming kind of a surface treatment applied in multiple layers. And we've also done a test to actually see how durable it is. I'll show that to you in the next slide. One important subject which I would like to tell you is not all general sealers are suitable for application on concrete. Generally I've seen a lot of people coating the concrete with a PU sealer, and then eventually they don't last, or they don't perform the way it is supposed to perform. So generally concrete sealers are specifically designed for sealing concrete, and not every other sealer is suitable to actually be coated on concrete. Even though the technology is very good today, and we have good sealers and all of that, concrete products certainly have to be maintained. I mean, it's not a hassle, but every product for that matter really requires some kind of maintaining for them to last longer and perform better. So that certainly also applies for concrete as well. So this is an example of the sealer delaminating. So as I told you, if you actually don't apply the right sealer, or if you don't apply it correctly, in a professional manner, then after a while the sealer can actually delaminate. Now this is a general sealer that is available for wood and other things, which has been applied on a concrete, and after about a few months, the sealer was actually peeled off. This is not one of our work. This is one of the work where we got a complaint from an architect saying, this is what has happened, can you please help us with it. So talking about this, we also have another possibility of we providing some technical assistance to designers. I will talk to you about this in the later part of the presentation. So this is an example of our advanced surface treatment that we generally use for a wash basin. So here we've actually made trials with all the acidic substances, the detergents, lime, vinegar, and all of that in 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, and 24 hours exposure. And the right side, what you see is the final result of this trial. Well, the sealer certainly performs very well, and these are the kind of products that generally fall on a wash basin. But being very conservative from the company, we always say try to wipe off the stains as soon as possible. It is better to be safe than sorry. So Raj, we actually use, as I told you, multiple different types of sealers. A few of them are film forming sealers, like the one which you're seeing for advanced surface treatment. They are applied in multiple layers. And for wall panel, which is a basic surface treatment, we spray the sealer. We have a spray machine. We spraying bed through which the wall panels actually pass by, and those are not film forming, but they are reactive sealers. Another very important point is when you're actually maintaining the product, it's you have to make sure that these kind of harsh chemicals or abrasive scrubbers are not used on these kind of products. They don't really clean the product, but they actually damage the product. Well, this is not only true to concrete products, but in general. When you actually use a abrasive scrubber, what happens is you're actually scratching the surface and spoiling the surface. It creates hills and valleys, like basically small grooves and lines, scratches, in which the bacteria goes and settles, and even the dirt. So it is strongly recommended that you don't use any of these harsh chemicals, and they're not required. They're really not required. You can just clean these products using a soft sponge and diluted soap solution, and it'll do the job. The bottom right image that you're seeing is actually a surface that has been abused and damaged over a period of, I think it was about 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years. It was abused. Well, of course it was performing, but aesthetically it wasn't looking all that great. So we actually got a call back, and then we told the client how to maintain it, and we refurbished the surface. So this is another very good advantage what concrete has. You can refurbish a surface. This is an image that was taken 6 months back, where the product was refurbished after it was spoiled. So we certainly have warranties. We certainly tell our customers how to really use the product. The only thing you need to make sure is you do not use any scrubbers or harsh chemicals, and just wash it with simple soap solution and sponge. So Aishi, your question is, does these sealers get worn out over a period of time after continuous usage on a surface? Do they have to be recoated again? Well, not really. These wash basins, there are about 7 layers of these coating, and they don't get worn out unless you wear them out. So what I mean to say is, when you're using a scrubber and when you keep scrubbing it every day for cleaning, you're actually reducing the sealer and actually spoiling the surface. If you don't do that, then they never get worn out. So we have a basin which has been about 6 years old in our own showroom in Bangalore, and we've been using it without any kind of an issue. So this brings us to the last but one part of the presentation. After this is the Q&A. I'm able to see a lot of questions in the chat. I would try to attend to them as much as possible. So as I was telling you, since concrete is a new material, and a lot of designers, a lot of people have tried to work with this new material, and sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're not really happy. So we would like to offer all of you a no obligation call for 30 minutes, where we can actually try to solve any problems that you're facing with decorative concrete. The product need not be manufactured by us, but if you have a product where you've brought it from somewhere, or you manufactured it and you have a problem, we would love to assist you on that, and we would like to share our technical knowledge with you guys. As a second offer, I was talking to you about design collaboration. So we generally collaborate with a lot of designers. It can be sometimes it is interior designers. We actually we are trying to collaborate with a few designers in Bombay who would be designing products for us. Or it can also be product designers who actually design products in concrete. So if anybody is really interested in designing products, and if they want us to kind of manufacture them, we will be more than happy to collaborate. Of course, we can talk about the collaboration terms in person, but yes, it is a possibility which I would like to offer in this webinar. So Prem, I will answer. It's a very good question what you've asked. I will answer your question just after this third offer. So the third is request for samples. In case you like any of the products, you want to have a touch and feel of the product, please let us know, and we would be able to send you the samples. You can browse through our website, see what you like, and you can actually ask us for the samples, and we'll be happy to send it across. So Prem, latest innovation, you really caught me on that question. We always keep innovating in our factory. There is never a day where we don't do something new. Sometimes it's a horrendous disaster. Sometimes it is something which is fantastic. I'm sure every company comes out with new stuff that way. So we have got a lot of very exciting things. Please follow us on our Insta page and all that. We would be putting across a lot of new inventions. One is we made a concrete which is maybe just say 30-40% the weight of your regular concrete, and they are very good in sound absorption. So we have manufactured something like that, but again, it's just a product what we have. we have tried to work on concretes which actually kind of shimmer very, very well when light falls on it. I'm unable to really tell you all of the innovations because we have products coming out, but I'm sure you would be excited to see the kind of products what we're getting out in the market. So it comes to the FAQ session. Let me try to take some questions. Muskan, you can get in touch with our company. So if you're talking about there is an offer that has been published, and you can please fill up the form, and we will definitely get back to you. Rishabh, when you're talking about cost implications, basically it is, it depends on the product. We have different, if you want to customize a product, like a bespoke product, completely very unique and one of its piece, the cost, of course, is higher because we have to customize the design, the mold, and we have to cast only one piece. Otherwise, we have standard products. We will send you the price list. Sachi, UHPC and GRC, can be recycled because it's all mineral-based material. But to be honest, it can be recycled to the dot. It can be every single part of it can be recycled. But to be honest, today it's not a commercially viable option. We have not recycled anything till now, but it can actually be powdered and used as a filler again in concrete. Let me try to take a couple of more. How large is your production setup, and is there a limitation to size of the products manufactured? So, well, the largest size of the product what we have manufactured is about 20 feet long table. It's a conference table, which is 20 feet long and 6 feet in width. This was manufactured as one piece. Theoretically, it's just about a mold. How big can we make a mold, and how can we really kind of cast it? But it has more to do with logistics. Can you really kind of transport that piece and move it and install it? That is the biggest problem. Ibrahim, you asked, do you encounter efflorescence with your product? No, not really. It is, I would say, it's almost zero, or maybe say 1 or 2% or something like that, which I don't think even that really happens. Because what happens is, efflorescence is the free lime available on the surface of the concrete, which actually reacts with the moisture and actually gives you those salts. But over here in our concrete, everything is so well, weighed and it's formulated that there is no free lime really available for efflorescence to happen on the surface to a very, very large extent. That is one. Second is the surface is also sealed, so which also reduces the chance of efflorescence. So all in all, if you're talking about efflorescence, no, we don't have that problem at all. Cladding walls in bathroom walls can be used, Surabhi, not really for floors. And we don't recommend that you use these concrete wall panels in your wet area. Because, some people use harsh chemicals, brush and all that to actually clean it. And it's certainly not, as, bulletproof, if I can say, like your vitrified tile or something like that. Of course, it has its own advantages, why you have to use it, but it is always better you use them in dry areas. So let me very randomly pick a few questions if I can answer. If the demolding takes 24 hours, how is the bulk production managed, maintaining the quality? Well, so if it's a standard product, we actually have multiple molds. If you're talking about wall panels, we have a few hundreds of molds where we manufacture those kind of products. And we are not a company where we roll out thousands or lakhs of square meters every month. This technology cannot allow us to get to that level of mass manufacturing. So because of the kind of molds that we have, of course, we would be able to manufacture. And we've been selling a few, I would say, hundreds of square meters every month. Any more questions? I would still try to pick some random questions, or if there are any new questions, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer them for you now. Raj, we don't manufacture sealers in-house. We import that as well from Germany. Deepak has asked, can concrete material can be used for drawers and hinges and channels to be fitted? Well, there are ways to work around it, and yes, it can be done. Shweta, I hope you've got the collaboration details with you. So Vaibhav asked, saying, "Do you do translucent concrete panels?" Yes, Vaibhav. In fact, that is how we actually got into this industry. My first venture was concrete translucent wall panels. We actually had a tie-up with the Hungarian company who actually invented these panels. But these are very expensive, and so it wasn't really commercially viable. But nonetheless, we are actually working on a technology, and we would have something similar to translucent concrete panels shortly. No, Sam, I didn't attend concrete school. Sorry, Shanil. Feedback link. I am not able to understand what you're asking for. But yes, we have another poll. Gautam, I would like you to launch another poll now, where I hope you guys have enjoyed the webinar, and do let us know if you're interested in more such webinars. We'll be more than happy to host you guys. How can we use it on exterior surface? So Rishabh, basically these products are absolutely they can be used in exterior surfaces because of the kind of the density what it has. It is freeze and thaw resistant, and it is resistant to your moisture and things like that. So it can certainly be used in outdoor areas without any problem. Worried about a lot. Okay, so Rishita, you were asking me about, I think, the same question like what Rishabh asked. So basically, first and foremost, because the porosity of these are very less, the staining is much lesser, and of course they're also sealed. But this is something what we have to understand, that when it rains and when you have these salt deposition, there's no material really where it actually doesn't stain. You're talking about glass, you're talking about metal, you talk about any natural stone, you certainly would have those drip marks of water, which is inevitable. But otherwise, aesthetically it is definitely more pleasing. And the good part is, after a while, let us say after, say, 5 years or 10 years, you can actually kind of refurbish and resurface that the exteriors, and you can recoat it with a sealer, so which will again kind of give you a refurbished look for the whole building. So does it require a 230 wall to be cladded? No. Well, no. So our panels are not very heavy. The 8 panels are generally, I mean, it's just about 1.5 kgs per square feet, and our 12 panels are about 2.3 or 2.4 kgs per square feet. So these panels, our wall panels, can be cladded on plastered walls or on a partition which is built, on plywood, or if you actually have a metal framework and clad it with bison board or Shara board, these can be cladded onto that as well. So it really doesn't need a super heavy, strong wall for it to be cladded. Thank you, Sam. I hope you really enjoyed the presentation. Thanks for being here. So thank you very much, guys. I hope all of you had something to take away from this webinar. Please give us your feedback, which will help us, whether to have more of these kind of webinars. You guys were great audience. There were a lot of messages that were pouring in. I hope I could respond to more messages. We still have the chat backup, and we would certainly try to respond to these queries as much as possible. So, Samir, well, the last question to be answered, why can't we use bison board? Well, of course, bison board also, of course, is concrete. But again, the whole aesthetic appearance, the kind of surface finish that you get, and the kind of durability what you have is very, very different from a bison board to a concrete wall panel. I think, when you have a touch and feel of the material, you'd be able to understand it far, far more better. The whole use of the bison board is very different compared to these kind of concrete wall panels. Thank you, Ian. It was great, interacting with you previously as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.